Hi everyone, hi subscribers, it's Sloan Rhodes here with your Spiritual Self-Mastery class, Ego and Heart, for the week of January 20th, 2019. This month is flying by. Thank you for bearing with me. I know I've been absent the last few weeks, but I've had a lot of changes in my life, and as you can see, the bare shelves, I am indeed preparing to move. So as you all know, a lot goes into that. Okay, so what I want to do today, I'm going to be getting two cards from the Tarot of the Spirit deck by Pamela and Joyce Eakins. One card looking at the energy for the week based on how the ego may be perceiving it, as well as where we can allow the heart-centered energies to beckon us towards more openness and compassion and love. And then another card just kind of looking at what we can expect or look forward to regardless, just to kind of give us a bit of neutrality there. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'll get the cards drawn and then we'll go ahead and start the reading for the week. And just to remind you all that, if I ever do miss a week, and sometimes I do, and in this case I missed several, I do encourage you to go back through and just randomly select different weeks to listen to or to watch. Remembering that all of my YouTube videos are available on the audio podcast in audio form only, so you can subscribe to the podcast and listen to them as well. There's a link below. But anyway, so if you just randomly select any video, usually you will get the information or the guidance that you are looking for. It's just funny how that works. Because, even though I do break these down by week and I look at the energies for the week, truly it's more of an organizing factor. So any week you can tap into very similar types of energies. It'll be right for you, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so let's go ahead and get the cards drawn. Let's just take a moment here. Okay. I hope everyone's doing well. Okay, here we go. So we have the Devil in reverse. And what we can expect or look forward to regardless is the Ten of Earth. The Great Work. Oops. Beautiful card. They're both beautiful cards. I love this deck. But yeah, this is upright and this is reversed. We have Three of Swords, Three of Wind under the deck. In this deck it's called Recognition. Recognition of the heartache, recognition of the pain and suffering that we have been undergoing in many different ways. In the recent past, I'd say. But again, it's an underlying energy that we are coming out of. I do see that with the Devil in reverse. For me, the Devil in reverse is usually, in just straight tarot, in the way that I read, is a removal of this energy leaving our environment. So I perceive this card in general as a positive card. But because we're looking at it in terms of the ego and the heart energy, just give me a second here. Okay, so as I feel this card and as my understanding of this energy, with the Devil in reverse, as I mentioned, usually when I have the Devil in reverse, it's about individuals or circumstances being removed from our environment. And the Devil, of course, speaking to vices, obsessions, toxic situations and energies that we may find ourselves mired in. Oftentimes it's something we may have been mired in for a while, or there's an individual in our lives who's just difficult or problematic, or we're just having a difficult time with some aspect of our life that we tend to have obsessed upon or become overly attached to. But because it's in reverse, as I mentioned, I see it as leaving during this week, being removed in some fashion, breaking the cycle, the chains that bind are being broken, I guess is one way of looking at it. But what I really like in terms of the egoic energy is that even though I perceive and experience this card as positive, the ego still, because the ego loves to play in the realm of fear and anxiety or over-attachment, the ego may perceive this as, I'm finally free of this. Now I can finally live my life in peace and happiness. And while we may feel a sense of euphoria or relief with the devil in reverse, remember that the ego has an over-attachment to it being the thing that provides the peace. The thing that provides the sense of safety or happiness. So the egoic energy always becomes overly attached on something outside of us, as being the bearer of our joy, our happiness, our safety, our security. So even though, in general, we can perceive it as a positive card, the ego can still kind of turn it into something that's that big relief that is really short-lived before we get the drop. You understand what I'm saying? Finally, it's done, it's over, and now I can finally be peaceful. Whereas in truth, the heart-centered energies are like, you always can find the peace. The peace exists within. The love exists within. The neutrality is your state, of being, really. But the ego is like a spotlight, as you've heard me say before, that focuses in on one particular thing. In this case, it may be on the thing that's finally kind of left your circumstance or a situation that's been alleviated in some way. And then finally, you get that peak, with the ego. So just bear witness to that. And again, if it's something that you've overcome, recognize where the ego can be very sly, where you are like overly proud, through my own, being, and it's all very egocentric. It's all about you having overcome this, or through your own efforts. Of course, you can certainly be proud of yourself, but when it is in a place that feels overly proud of yourself, where it's really veering into it's all me and my doing, and there was nothing else that happened to make this occur. It was all my own hard work, whatever. No one exists in a bubble. Let's say we're always co-creating with many, many individuals, and a lot of things came about and work together in order for this situation to finally sort of be for you to either break free of this or leave it behind, or a situation or a person to kind of remove themselves from your life. And the ego will say, yes, it's all me, kind of beating your chest kind of energy. And that's certainly very egoic energy, and we can all relate to that. Who hasn't been like, yes, it's all me, I did it, and then a little while later you feel the drop, kind of thing. So the egoic energy tends to be very up and down, up and down, up and down, and the heart-centered energies are more placid, more peaceful, more able to experience what the ego perceives as the highs and lows with just a greater sense of equanimity. The heart says, yes, I'm no longer resonating with that obsession energy, or that vice, or that addiction. It's just no longer a resonance for me in this moment, and in the moment, it's just not where I'm aligning my energy. And then, so as you kind of recognize it more consciously, that in the moment you're not attaching yourself to that energy, you're not in alignment with the obsessive, addictive, sort of more toxic energies, then you can more easily continue to align with the energy of, this is just, my natural state is more neutrality, more love, more peace. And there's less like, I've overcome this and I gotta keep fighting against it so it doesn't come back into my existence, this kind of energy. Because whenever we feel like, yes, I finally did it, there's a fear comes in very, very quickly and now I need to make sure it doesn't happen again. Whereas the heart just says, I'm just not in alignment with it right now. Look at that. And the heart doesn't have any judgment necessarily that you were bad when you were in that energy. The heart just says, oh, now you've sort of evolved beyond it in the moment. You've transcended that energy in the moment. And you continue to focus on the heart's always focused on the present moment, this moment. Right here and right now, I don't feel obsessive. I'm not aligning with the need for something in the external to give me a sense of peace or equanimity or feelings of expansion and love. I'm just enjoying the moment, consciously aware, as opposed to, the harder edge of I've overcome it, and now I got to make sure it doesn't happen again. You can feel the energy and the adrenaline peak in that. It's harder to maintain that that level of adrenaline, let's call it fear or anxiety, for a long period of time. Eventually there's that drop, and when that drop occurs, like, I overcome it, yeah, and then you don't either get the external gratification of people going, yeah, you did it, or whatever, and then suddenly you feel you lack it again, like, oh no, I'm not able to maintain that, and you get the drop, and then you get the fear again, and the heart says, oh, look at that, I'm not aligning with it. Oh, I can feel myself beginning to align more with that fearful energy. How interesting. And I choose to be in the moment again, aligning with a more peaceful heart, more love, more joy for the present moment. And you come back to the moment, the moment, the moment. And then this energy tends to hang around, tends to not rebound, let's say, so quickly, And if it does rebound back in, because you've got a little adrenaline against it, and it's hard to maintain that level of adrenaline, and you find it kind of rebound in, it tends to, when you're more conscious and you're more in the heart-centered energies, it tends to rebound in for a shorter period of time. And you're less inclined to want to dance with that energy. You're less inclined to want to go there where the ego wants to take you. Very, very interesting. But in general, it looks, it regardless of whether the ego or the heart is looking at it this week, there usually is a sense of relief or peace, with that. So that's really, really nice to see. And what we can expect to look forward to regardless is the Ten of Earth, the Ten of Pentacles. In this deck, the great work, right? The great work of manifesting and building upon the happiness, the joy, the longevity, the heritage, the legacy you're wanting to build, to leave for yourself and your family and your the ancestors. All of that. It's about the home, right? Inheritances, the great work, the great manifest work that we are here as spiritual beings getting to play with and mold. It's part of the game of being in our incarnation here on the planet Earth. And the great work is in the Ten of Earth here, the Ten of Pentacles, is a building upon the building blocks of creating a life that feels more stable, more secure, something where you can function more easily, more effortlessly in your life, because you've created these building blocks. Now, of course, the mind, the ego will say, and that happens because I have a good job and I have a home and I've paid the mortgage, and this is certainly can occur and does occur, but that's not the reason for it. The reason for it, the underlying energy for it, is the peaceful heart, knowing that you are content with what you have. You're not constantly trying to get out of where you are, what you have, to get more and more and more. Very egoic energy. The great work is, you're building upon it based on the spark of the divine. And as you connect more and more with a more peaceful heart and more gratitude and graciousness for what you have, and you align with that energy more, it grows and grows and grows. And so then you suddenly, without even trying as hard as you probably did in the past, you're able to build more abundance in your life, which can include, of course, the physical aspect of us, which is the Ten of Earth, that the Pentacles energy. Very, very interesting week for all of us. Again, the underlying energy has been some heartache, some difficult times, but it's through that heartache that the light, is able to come from, in order to help us grow and achieve enlightenment in the moment, peace in the moment, serenity, more love, an expanding heart, opening your heart more. Sometimes you can even feel it in your heart. It hurts almost, when you have heartache, and you can put a hot water bottle on your heart, or rose quartz or something like that. But again, this energy, I feel like, is more in the past. We're coming out of that, especially with that devil in reverse. Things that have been problematic being removed. Again, people, situations, patterns that are more harder edge and very need-based, suddenly feeling less like they have a grip on you, which is really, really nice. And then we have all this abundance growing here, which is lovely to see. So anyway, I hope that you find that helpful. It looks like a lot of difficulties are kind of falling behind us during this week, which is really, really lovely to see. And I hope everyone enjoys the week. If you have any questions, of course, you're welcome to leave them here on in the comments section, or you can email me. And I did release my new question and answer series, the first video on that. So if you do have some questions around spirituality or spiritual awakening or the egoic energy or the heart-centered energies, you're welcome to leave a question here on YouTube, or you can email me your question, and if I feel that I can provide some clarity for that question, I will do my best to do that in the video. But I do ask that you limit your question to 5 sentences max. I don't need a lot of a lot of information. Just your basic kind of question of what you're wanting some clarity on. And but that is separate than the tarot and the oracle card readings. That's just questions around spirituality, spiritual awakening, ego and heart. You already know. And don't forget that all of these videos are available in audio form on the podcast, so you can follow the links below. All right, much love to you, and I'll see you next week.